Hello, welcome back, and good evening. So we had a drop from yesterday. It's no big deal. We're still trying to kind of recover within the last couple of hours for the price of Bitcoin. We're currently at 110,434. Not too bad either way. Like, we shouldn't be scared about this or anything. The uptrend is there. We've broken out of the downtrend, and I think tomorrow the reason we're down is because we're expecting some very important economic data tomorrow. That is the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rates. We'll be seeing how those determine, it'll help determine whether or not we get a rate cut, which yes, we will be getting a rate cut, but I think it's going to affect the percentage pretty significantly. Right now, the percentage is still very high. I think we are not bullish enough. Okay, come on. 99%? You're joking, right? We just got economic data today as well. ISM services, which it's also one of those economic datas that, in my opinion, have little to no relevancy to the market, but nonetheless, it came in higher than expectations, which means it's more likely to give us a Fed rate cut because something with bad jobs data, I think. I don't exactly know what this measures. Highest expansion in the services sector in 6 months, driven by faster growth rates for business activity, new orders, and inventories. So it rose, which beats the forecasts. And it's part of the reason why we got a larger percentage now for the chance of us getting a rate cut. So I think that's good overall. It's just that people are expecting tomorrow to be the make or break kind of thing. Because I would agree. We do need a catalyst to, like, you know, start pushing the price up, start liquidating all these shorts, move forward, get the uptrend going again. And what better option than, you know, the non-farm payroll data that will be coming out tomorrow. So there's that. I didn't mean to click that. What are we getting next week? PPI and CPI. That'll be important. That's coming Wednesday, Thursday, though. I mean, worst case scenario, we could just wait until that date before we start seeing any movement. And then the week after, Wednesday, September 17, is when we get the big day, right? Interest rate decision. So the only thing standing in our way right now is what's coming out tomorrow, and then what's coming out next week, Wednesday, Thursday, CPI, PPI. Then the week after that, we'll be getting our rate cut, our much-deserved rate cut. So, I don't know. What do you reckon? Do you think markets have priced it in yet? I don't think so. Yet. Or maybe they should. It just feels like it's too low to have already priced it in at. And there's also people saying like, oh, it's not like, you know, that day is going to happen. September 17 is going to happen. And then the markets start pumping. I would argue the opposite. I would think, yeah, I know we got high expectations, but is Jerome Powell actually going to cut? I think people are like genuinely going to wait until, you know, to see what happens. Or maybe the markets are already priced it in and I'm just dumb. We'll see. But anyway, in terms of price action specifically for Bitcoin, 112K, as I mentioned, very important resistance that we were not able to break out of fully, right? We broke out of this downtrend. We came back down, bounced off of the line, and this is a perfect setup for us to, you know, reaccumulate, break out of this resistance, and continue higher from here, maybe to 117, 118,000, liquidating a lot of these shorts. And like I said, it's not like it's just going to happen overnight. We're going to need a catalyst for it. And bright and early tomorrow morning, we'll be getting that catalyst. And that's what I think the markets are waiting for at this time. In terms of support, of course, we have the 107,000 lowest point that we reached last week. So, yeah, I'm hopeful overall. Everything is back in the red for me. Whatever. We've seen it in the green, so I'm not too concerned either way. And they're barely red, some of these. I know these seem like they're much more in the red, but for good reason, right? Nothing happened with Stellar yet. I'm good. So, yeah, I guess that's what we got for Bitcoin. Not too bad. I'm also happy with this. Is what I forgot to mention. When we were up here, I was getting a little nervous because I thought, okay, if we do indeed break out of 112,000 and push forward significantly, I don't know how far we're going to be able to go in terms of RSI momentum. And I know we don't always, follow what RSI does or says. But, it's still something to look out for. It's a good momentum indicator, right? Do we have enough strength to continue forward kind of deal? And, I mean, if we were going to, go past 113,000, start liquidating lots of shorts, we'd be heavily overbought for a large portion of it. And I feel like that is a bit of an exaggeration, or maybe I'm asking a bit too much of Bitcoin to do this kind of movement, like something like this, right? So it made sense for us to drop back down over here. And they usually say this kind of thing, like when we do break out of like a downtrend like this in terms of price action, we typically go and bounce right on the downtrend line that we were from before. We're using that as a support level now, and then we bounce forward. So that's part one. Part two is the RSI levels again. You're going to notice that, well, okay, we were up here. RSI, I don't know how I'm going to explain this, but we were over here, and these levels were about 66. We just approached it again just a couple hours ago, and look where we were right over here, RSI 51, meaning that, and I know we didn't close there specifically, but it didn't go that high. It was like somewhere over here probably. But we could continue a little higher and, go maybe from over here before we start entering that overbought zone. And then, liquidating all these shorts will get us into the overbought zone, which would make more sense. So what I'm just trying to explain is that resetting this momentum indicator, right, little by little, should get us the kind of movement that we want. So I think this is just a perfect setup overall. It's my TLDR. So we'll see. Still very optimistic about it. Man, these funding fees are killing me, aren't they? That's crazy. But hey, deserved. I've dropped a lot in here, so it pays off at least. All right, cool. Ethereum 4,306. I still have my order there. I did not remove it. Not a lot of movement really for it, so the levels that I've put here are still the same. Support at 4,170. Well, yeah, 4,160. I don't know, 4,150 to 4,170 support, and then resistance at 4,565. That's what we got for Ethereum. Not much else to mention for it here. Solana at 201. I could have sold my Solana ETF yesterday, but I refused to. It's fine. I do have my trigger order now at 194. Could have been filled from before, but I put the order in a little too late, so that's gone. But I also have another one at 187 just in case we do continue dropping. Super trend is rising nicely with it. Still in an uptrend. Solana, one of the few that still remains in an uptrend compared to all the other altcoins who have flipped to a bearish trend, such as Ethereum, such as XRP. Speaking of XRP, we're back to our entry price. 278 is the current price. 279 is my average entry. I do not have any other trigger orders ready for XRP. If it does drop significantly, I'll decide whether or not I put some more in it. But it's not a lot that I have in here, and I'm not expecting to put as much either. I already have what I would be putting into XRP. I'm already putting it into Stellar, XLM, because they're similar, and I feel like Stellar has more not momentum, but more potential, right? To move higher, to give a stronger movement than XRP will. Just because of the slightly lower market cap. We've seen XRP at the top 3 recently in coin market caps, right? Oh, it still is. Why does it look like this? Did they update this? Oh gosh, this looks... I'm not going to say it looks bad, but it just looks different. Let's just leave it at that. Stellar is at number 16, which used to be at around number 12, 11, I believe. It has 11 billion market cap compared to something with like XRP that has 165 billion in market cap. So obviously the potential is in Stellar. Practically the same fundamentals. So that's why I'm more comfortable entering in something like Stellar. And you got the same thing going on with Solana, right? I feel Solana still can rise because of the core value that it provides. It also has reached number 3 at some point in its history last year, so it certainly can do that again. But, I mean, if I'm going to find an alternative for this cycle, I would say Sui is the best alternative for that. Same deal. Similar market cap to Stellar, of course. And, you know, the potential is just there for Sui. And it is better than Solana, so it's just not used enough, and Solana is more popular at the moment. But after these big caps make their move, we're going to see these guys pop off like crazy. Not all of them, of course, but a select few. In terms of fear and greed index, it looks like we're neutral, but kind of leaning towards fearful, which that is a good thing. If we're fearful at Bitcoin at 110,000, oh gosh, what would it be if we were 98,000? We'd all be cutting our veins or something, you know? Anyway. Sui is at 327. I have my order at 303 still. I don't think that's going to be filled yet. And surprisingly, Sui has maintained itself relatively stable. For the kind of volatility that this coin typically has, it has not moved as much as I would have expected it to these past couple weeks, really. But I think, you know, its time will come soon, and even if we do drop a little or decay, if this super trend would drop to 345, 346, that would be great. And we could use that as a breakout resistance target, right? Breaking out of that should take us much higher. And so we would get its momentum back, of course, once that hype comes through. So optimistic for Sui overall. Chainlink, $22.33. All right. So we've dropped down to this support level. Why doesn't it indicate on pivots if it's support 1 resistance? What is going on? Did I do something? Whatever, I'm not too concerned. Either way, it's probably support 1. 22.33 I mentioned. I have my next order entry at 21.24, which I'm starting to second guess these entries now because I'm basing them off Fibonacci levels that were previously from historical pivots. Now they're not there. Oh, now the numbers are showing up. Yeah, that was a support 1. I was basing it off of this, right? And this one over here also something similar. But now these pivot levels have kind of shifted over, so I'm not too sure which one to pay attention to anymore, but I'll leave those orders there just in case. If they want to get filled, let them be filled. How much do I have in Chainlink right now? Maybe I just buy. I have 250 in here. I could drop another 250 right now because we're at that support level. If we do break lower, so be it. But I'm comfortable with dropping another 250. I'm buying Link at 22 though. That is so expensive. It's only 250. This is so much cope. 15 liquidation price. Will I have enough? Yeah, I'll have enough. Yeah, I'll have enough. I'm rich. I don't care. There we go. We dropped our average price now to 22.87 from, what was it before? Over here, 23? Yeah, probably 23. I should have paid attention. Whatever. Rewind the stream and you tell me. Alright, moving on. Cardano, 80 cents. My average price is still 82. Still have my order at 76. That's still probably correct because I changed the Fibonacci levels for, you know, how far we could drop. We're still dropping over here, so I don't think it was that wise to, you know, celebrate too early and start drawing resistance levels. I'll change this up a little bit, and I'll take it from a longer time frame because I want to be precise with these. Okay. Maybe some adjustment could be made for Cardano. Because I'd be willing to pay more attention to these kind of levels over here. So how much do I have entered on this calculator. Time 393745 times 0.761. It's about 3000, which means I put 1003x. Get out of here. Yes. We're gonna average out, I said 1003x, but at the price of, I gotta whip out the calculator again. Average out 0.7646 plus 0.7664. Is that just 75? I mean, 7654 or 2? I'm guessing. 7655, okay. Alright. My microphone cable is like right on top of my keyboard, making it more difficult for me to type. There we go. I've adjusted my entry. And this also looks good at 70 if it was to drop there. How much do I have in Cardano already? And why am I still buying Cardano? Whatever. I'll drop another 1,000 there. I'm comfortable with it. And that entry is looking like, please open, 0.7044 plus 0.7063 is that, divided by 2 is that. So this is your next entry. At 0.7053. Been long. Great. Cardano is fully set up. I'm not concerned for it anymore. Litecoin's just kind of been doing its own thing. Surprisingly on its way a little bit up. My average price is 112. Current price 111. I have entries at 105 and 104, which did not get filled twice. So it's fine. We'll leave it there. If it doesn't want to get filled, don't force it, you know? I have my stellar entry at exactly this perfect support level and Fibonacci line, 33 cents. Current price is 34. My average price is 37, which we were sort of on our way up. We clearly do have a resistance at 37 and... Would you say and at 36? I feel like there's too many lines at this point, but I am drawing it from a very long time. And these are meant to just determine support levels. So in terms of resistances, yeah, I know we bounced over here, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. I'd pay more attention to 37. Just saying. That is all for the favorites. Aave, nothing much has changed. I only entered a small entry of 250. I have another order ending at 296. Current price is 304. My entry is 315. Pengu's still there. Pepe is still there. Still got my orders, I believe. A little lower. Yes, that has not yet changed. And Aptos as well. Aptos is looking pretty good. This order did not get filled, though, unfortunately. Downtrend is still there. But Aptos is probably safest play out of most altcoins, is what I would say. And Sonic. Still kind of struggling here. I'm not yet going to buy. We're expecting that flood of tokens to appear. So, you know, when that happens, I'll be informed and we'll have a look. But long-term, Sonic will be good. I had this post that I found. If I can find it. I might have not even saved it. Never mind, I guess I did not save it. Yeah, to do with like transactions per second. The global financial system uses Visa and MasterCard, which MasterCard does 10,000 transactions per second. Visa does 24,000 transactions per second. Sonic does 400,000 transactions per second. Which, that might be overkill, and if nobody's using it, what's the point, kind of deal. But it's still really good. Like, come on. Surely that's the future. When the demand is just so high and people start looking for alternatives, I feel like long term it would be a good play. They've also got their token burning thing that's good going on for them. So yeah, in terms of any other entries, yeah, nothing much else has been allocated. So there we go. Only one entry in Chainlink today. Try not to spill my tea on my shirt today. I'm still wearing another. No, I'm not wearing the same white shirt. I'm just wearing another white shirt. For context, yesterday I spilled tea on myself on my white shirt. So anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the not crypto news, geopolitical news. Trump has invited a lot of people to the White House for dinner today. We have a lot of tech CEOs that appear to be there. In this image, you will see Mark Zuckerberg, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. I have no idea who this woman is. Google CEO Sundar Pichai, which I think is this guy over here. Could be wrong. Apple CEO Tim Cook. Where is Tim? Where is that goofy individual? I think this is him right over here. AMD CEO Lisa Su. I have no idea who she is. And OpenAI CEO Sam Altman right over here. Anybody else that I recognize? That's Mark. Bill Gates is here. Why didn't you put him on the list? And I don't recognize anybody else from this image. So cool, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they're discussing something important. An update on the Thomas Massie request for release of Epstein client files. There are now 214 members of Congress that have signed Thomas Massie's discharge petition to force the release of the full Epstein files. And it includes the four Republicans, Nancy Mace, Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Massie himself. There's 218 signatures needed. They're really close to getting that released. It will be interesting to see what happens from there. I explained the majority of what it means yesterday, right? Because they were on vacation. They came back from the summer vacation, and now they're able to continue their votes, push forward with all that stuff. The two main things seem to be the Epstein release list, the Epstein list release, and also the stock congressional trading ban, right? So there's that. We also have this in the news, which I found interesting. The DOJ is actively considering a gun ban for transgender individuals it deems mentally ill to prevent acts of violence. If you don't know what this is referring to, well, it has to do with the transgender mass shootings that have been happening at churches, at schools, little kids being killed by... It's mainly transgender people, and you see it all over the news most of the time. And yeah, I mean, it could be due to, anger issues, hormone imbalance, because they're taking all these things to try to change their gender or whatever they're trying to do. And, I mean, they've got access to guns, they get these dark thoughts, and they go and just start killing a bunch of kids, and then eventually kill themselves or get shot by cops or whatever. And this one was from the Nashville shooting. This was from a very recent shooting that happened in, I don't remember, Minnesota, I think. So I agree with this push for a gun ban on transgender individuals. If you are transgender, they are going to deem you mentally ill, and you will not be able to own a gun because of that. So I don't know, it's gonna cause a lot of debate, won't it? Like, oh, but it's their right, it's their Second Amendment right to own firearms, regardless of, you shouldn't discriminate of their race or gender or whatever. But I mean, there should be gun laws in place, right? You can't give it to somebody who's got schizophrenia or who's got, like, history of drug abuse or history of mental illness. And if you're going to consider transgenderism a mental illness, you could combine all that into a category and prevent firearm sales to those individuals. Now, obviously, it's not going to solve the problem entirely. These people, they've got brains. They can figure out how to gain possession of firearms. I mean, Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed the United Health CEO, he had a 3D printed gun, not registered, none of that. I didn't have to buy it. That kind of deal. So there's no way to fully prevent it, but I think it's a step in the right direction, personally. Don't attack me for that. Attack the DOJ. And plus, I don't even live in America, so what do I know about guns? An update on Russia-Ukraine. Zelensky said that the only way for Ukraine and Europe to establish peace with Russia is for Russia to be demilitarized completely. Yeah, that's never going to happen. So they're asking impossible things from each other. Putin wants Zelensky to come to Moscow. That's not going to happen. Zelensky wants Russia to be completely demilitarized. That's not going to happen either. I'm pretty sure Russia wants the same thing for Ukraine to be demilitarized. There's also these talks about the territories that were captured. It looks like Ukraine's going to have to lose some territory, which Zelensky's not proud of. It's complicated. And even Trump has said it like, yeah, I've ended all these wars, but I thought this one would be the easiest, but it turns out it was the hardest, so just bear with us, guys. We're still working on Russia-Ukraine. So, yeah, I guess we still gotta wait. No real solution for this yet. And we know, of course, what Trump has been trying to do, like in terms of pressuring India to, you know, with the 50% tariffs because they're buying Russian oil, to try to destabilize the Russian economy by attacking not Russia directly, but indirectly by putting tariffs on their number one client, Russia's number one client, India, the one who buys the most oil from them. So this has been circulating all around Twitter now, is the fact of these kinds of posts coming out with the same message, and it turns out no disclosure. There's large accounts being paid to attack Trump's tariffs on India to their MAGA audience. Many of these accounts are foreigners, so don't fall for it. Like the community notes and violations, which, by the way, this account really fell off. Or maybe it's because there's no real community note ownage going on anymore, if you know what I'm saying. Like, the origins of this account was the community notes, right? Somebody would make a tweet on Twitter or post on X nowadays, and you'd get a community note if there was a false claim or if you're spreading misinformation. And sometimes it was really funny, right? I think I had an example. Let me show you now, I guess, now that we're on the subject. It was a post from Quiver Quantitative. Come on. Trump is just mass posting all over my timeline. Get out of here. All right, Quiver Quantitative, and where is... What is this guy? Here it is. This is like a community notes example. That is funny. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but I found it funny. We have the Secretary of Energy Department, whatever it is, in the United States, Chris Wright, saying that even if you wrapped the entire planet in a solar panel, you would only be producing 20% of global energy. Okay, so remember these numbers. If you wrap the entire planets with solar panels, you're only producing 20% of the global energy. One of the biggest mistakes politicians can make is equating the electricity with energy. And you get this fact check with the community notes. Earth gets roughly 1.5 millions of TWH per day of solar energy, whatever that unit means, which is over 3,000 times the global energy use. Covering just 1% of land with solar panels could theoretically power the whole planet. So immediately this claim is wrong. He's saying that if you put solar panels across the whole planet, you won't even generate 20% of global energy use. But that's a lie. You only need to cover 1% of Earth land mass to generate enough for the whole planet, it seems like, right? Electricity is energy, and electrification replaces fossils use in transport, heat, and industry. So there was that. And he founded a fracking company. It seems like he was biased with this kind of information because, he's the owner of a fracking company with oil and stuff like that. So he's obviously going to prefer other methods of energy production, such as drilling oil, instead of solar panels, because that is a competitor to his company. before his appointment as Secretary of Energy. So biased information, spreading misinformation to try to benefit his own company, right? That's what this account, Community Notes and Violations, should be posting, but they're not doing that. Now they're just posting memes, and it seems like now they're being a sell-off because now they're posting this kind of stuff. Like I said, paid actors, I guess, they're being paid to attack Trump's tariffs on India, right? Defiant L's is another one. It's also just supposed to be like a meme account, right? You're posting memes on people taking L's, whatever, taking losses. And it's the same thing. Stuff like India has always welcomed Trump with open arms. Hitting India with tariffs over oil won't punish Moscow. It'll raise prices, destabilize markets, and help China fill the gap. Use leverage where it works. That kind of stuff, right? Slapping tariffs on India over the oil, it won't hurt Moscow. It'll just spike prices, shake markets, and let China seize the advantage. Same message, right? So you're caught. You're caught posting the same stuff, and Defiant L's deleted the post. I think he deleted his account because he did apologize in the comments, and now it's gone. Where's Defiant L's? Uh-oh. I hope Community Notes deleted their account. No, Defiant L's is still here. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a meme account, right? Community Notes is obviously still a thing. This person makes so much money from Twitter posts and engagements, that kind of deal. Anyway, so that's just propaganda. Don't believe it. The tariffs is supposed to be a good thing to pressure Moscow, right? At least that's what we're supposed to think. Maybe that is true. Maybe it will indeed destabilize markets and make China seize the opportunity, fill the gap that, you know, in terms of trading what the Indian markets are supposed to trade with the US markets, they'll now be looking to other countries instead to replace the United States as a trading partner. And who better than China to do that, right? So that's the kind of message that they're trying to spread. Could be taken both ways, but I think it's still wise to try to pressure Russia. Although India has been stubborn and they've decided to just blow it off completely, saying, we don't care if we get tariffed, we're still going to do our trade deals with Russia and buy their oil. So that's going nowhere, and they're just shooting themselves in the foot, in my opinion. But what do I know? So what are we expecting? Markets are expecting Fed easing to steepen the curve, weaken the dollar, and boost gold and Bitcoin as inflation and governance risks linger into September, according to QCP Capital. And we just saw kind of proof of this with that 99% chance of us seeing a rate cut in the next meeting. Good stuff. All right, and shifting over to crypto-related stuff. Trump's crypto advisor, David Bailey, interesting stuff that he says here. He said, the only reason we're not at 150,000 right now, we're talking in terms of the price of Bitcoin, is two massive whales, is what he's calling it. I'm assuming these are like problems or obstacles in the way, right? Once they're slain, one is down and one is halfway there, and then up only is what he's saying. What are the two whales? One is apparently down. I don't know what specifically he's talking about and what else they're working on, but hey, they're working on something, and whenever that gets completed, we'll go to 150,000. I know this sounds odd. It sounds like there's no juice to it. There's no source. So it's like a very trust me bro kind of post. So we're going to have to wait and see what he means by that. Grant Cardone, remember I shared this news that he was selling his house in Miami, his mansion, for 400 Bitcoins, which is the equivalent of $43 billion or something. No, million or billion? Billion? I think it was billion. You can't sell a house for 40 billion. Oh boy. Really, I cannot do math. I covered this like a couple days ago, is part of what I'm trying to say. $44 million. Okay, it's not billion. That's what I was thinking. Like 44 billion for a house. That just doesn't sound right. It's $44 million. But he didn't want to accept cash. He only wanted a payment in Bitcoin. And he actually got it. Somebody bought his house 72 hours after listing. And this guy's now 400 Bitcoins richer. And that's probably going to be the future, right? Hey, I'm selling my car for 1 Bitcoin. I don't know who's gonna, like, it's probably not even gonna be 1 Bitcoin. It's gonna be like half a Bitcoin, right? The average price of cars, probably less. And with the price of Bitcoin going up in the future, it's probably gonna be like very small decimals. We're gonna be talking Satoshis at that time. So cool, good stuff. Great use case for Bitcoin. Somebody actually bought the house for 400 Bitcoins. Insane. All right. World Liberty Financial. Did I even talk about it? I actually forgot to talk about it, didn't I? So I finally entered the second time, my second entry, on a new position, of course. Where's the buy things? Where's the trade markings? What is going on? Let me refresh the page. Okay, excellent. So here we are. We had a drop in the price today, pretty significant one. We went from, you know, averaging around 20, 20, 21, 22, right? Dropped all the way down to 16 cents per token. And then we are now rising a little bit. We're at 18 cents. I put my entry at the lowest point that we had over here, which was, you could basically call that 20 cents, 19.99, right? So that got filled, and I am super negative right now, but it's fine. And of course, this time I put in a much larger amount. Look how close I am to liquidation. That is just, feels way too close. But either way, I put another order there just in case, to avoid any chance of me getting liquidated. And it would drop my average price down pretty significantly from to 17 approximately, because I think I put the exact same amount, 500 and 500 over here. So we're going to discuss why this drop over here happened. It just seems like it was all of a sudden out of the blue, and apparently there's a lot of drama behind this drop, so we'll talk about that here. World Liberty Financial said they believe an exchange has been using user tokens to sell and push down the price. How does that happen? How is it that an exchange just decides, hey, you know what, we're going to take your user funds and sell on the spot market and make the price go down? And it must be a lot, because this is a significant drop, right? Apparently this is what happened. Justin Sun, founder of Tron, crypto advisor of, well, financial advisor of this crypto project, World Liberty Financial, he got his addresses blacklisted after allegedly selling World Liberty Financials. And I covered this yesterday, right? I said, okay, there's all this talk of, you know, what the community thinks about it. They're saying, oh, it's all just insiders that are going to dump on us. Okay. We got confirmation, though, from Justin Sun saying, I'm never going to sell my tokens. I'm very proud of this project, and we've got a great future going on ahead. And then he immediately sends $100 million worth of tokens to an exchange. And I was like, why is he doing that? Why did he do that? And I covered this literally yesterday. It was this post, I think. If I recall correctly, it might have been this exact post. Probably not, but something similar. He moved $1 million worth of World Liberty Financial to a centralized exchange. It was HTX, the exchange, I think. He sent 4.9 million. Yeah, HTX. He still holds 600 million unlocked tokens, which is worth $135 million. And then now, the World Liberty Financial Project has blacklisted all of his addresses. All the addresses that belong to Justin Sun are blacklisted. He cannot sell them. They are permanently locked forever. So that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? I'll discuss more in detail about what happened with Justin Sun specifically. He's the largest holder of World Liberty Financial. He bought the tokens fairly early, and then after transferring $9 million, the team froze his funds because they didn't like how he was operating. Never before has a DeFi project taken such a drastic action. Why would anyone trust this team after that? Obviously, it's like, okay. Yield was endorsed but not backed by World Liberty Financial. We also even had this post come out from World Liberty Financial, which I covered yesterday. A pre-sale participant, Justin Sun, stated that he will not be selling soon, his words, and is creating a yield on HTX for World Liberty Financial deposits. So that explained why he transferred it to the exchange. And that gives people the opportunity to like, oh, okay, Justin Sun, the richest guy in this project, he's going to be staking his coins. We're going to do the same on HTX. We're going to get a good yield out of this. And I think the yield was, if I'm not mistaken, like 100% or something, like APR. It was a crazy amount, and I could be wrong. But I think it was something like that. So it incentivized a lot of people to lock up their tokens as well for a period of time. And then what does he do? The exchange, HTX, just starts selling the coins and is like, okay, why did that happen? So now his entire $500 million allocation into World Liberty Financial is now blacklisted. So that's money that'll never appear, probably, right? I'm pretty sure that's what a blacklist means. And Nansen AI research agent, they cleared Justin Sun of any direct role in the World Liberty financial price crash. At most, he was an accessory after the dip. So they're not blaming him for the crash. They're kind of blaming HTXs, from what I understand. I think the opposite. I think Justin Sun is to blame from this. He came out with this post today, which was originally in a language that nobody understands. So he said that our address only conducted a few generic exchange deposit tests with very low amounts and created addresses dispersion without involving any buying or selling, which could not possibly have any impact on the market. That was his explanation for why he transferred the tokens to HTX. But, I mean, there was some talks of him probably going to sell, although he said also he would never be selling, but maybe he was lying, and that's what a lot of people were afraid about. Justin fooled you all? Lol. He said he won't sell his World Liberty Financial, but he sold all his users World Liberty Financial. So it's the users' World Liberty Financial by trapping them with 20% APR and HTX, and then dumping them from OKX and Binance. Eric Trump, you guys can't beat Justin. He's the smartest scammer and you guys are just apprentices. This is what some people are saying on Twitter, right? So, wow, crazy stuff, isn't it? He transfers some tokens to HTX, makes people, you know, stake their tokens. He sells those people's staked tokens, and then he gets all his addresses blacklisted. Does this mean that he's now parting ways with the Trump family, or what exactly is going on? Is he really doing this to make himself richer? And that is why, like, I've always said since the beginning, Justin Sun is just such a sketchy guy. Part of the reason why I don't invest in Tron. But, yeah, it's a whole case study, this guy. So now, there's two camps for this whole Justin Sun World Liberty Financial thing. The first one is angry at Justin Sun for potentially pushing the World Liberty financial price down with user funds. That means he broke promises and contracts, right? You're not supposed to sell those tokens if they're being staked. The other camp is angry at the Trumps, you know, the Eric Trump, Barron Trump, Trump Jr., and Donald himself, for doing the same thing that they blamed banks had done to them, which is freezing accounts. Because this is supposed to be a decentralized thing. Nobody's supposed to have control over your tokens. Well, clearly somebody does, because now Justin Sun has his addresses blacklisted. So it's like, okay, what are we really doing here? But maybe both have a point. But one thing is for sure, the most successful and richest people in the world are often just selfish, sneaky, and dirty. So, yeah, maybe this is a master plan from Justin Sun all along. He played the long game. Either way, why did we stop crashing and we started pumping back up a little bit? It was because of the blacklisting itself. It did have a bit of a positive impact, because this basically means 540 million unlocked tokens are now frozen, and 2.4 billion locked tokens are also frozen, blacklisted. Meaning that, would this mean that they're taking out of circulation less supply, right? That should have a positive impact on the price. It jumped 8%, gaining 400 million in market cap after that blacklisting. So, I don't know. Maybe this was a necessary step to get Justin Sun out. It gives me a little bit more comfort, honestly speaking. But I don't know. I feel bad. Why, though? I don't know. I don't even know. Anyways. Ethereum under attack, nothing new, but hackers are hiding malware in Ethereum smart contracts, disguising malicious traffic as normal blockchain activity. To counter malware hidden in Ethereum smart contracts via NPM packages, vet packages. This is a lot of fintech wording, which I have studied, but you just got to scan them, it seems like. Either scan, that kind of stuff, to avoid getting malware. So watch out there if you do any of that. Did you guys know this company existed? I didn't. NASDAQ listed SUI Group Holdings. They were previously Mill City Ventures, or I think I have heard of them. Anyways, they bought another 20 million SUI tokens, bringing its total holdings to 101 million SUI tokens, which is worth $344 million in its treasury. Yeah, I didn't really know that there's a company out there accumulating SUI tokens as treasury. SUI G, I'm assuming that is like the ticker. If that exists, man, I want to see that price action. But obviously, you shouldn't invest in a company because they're buying SUI. Like, that wouldn't make too much sense, would it? Oh, this is really new. August 26th. I mean, they rebranded, didn't they? From Mill City Ventures. I think this could rise a lot. Although this looks like it's like double the price of SUI right now. $6.27. Price of SUI is $3.29. Almost double, right? Mill City Ventures, does that exist? Milliman Ventures, that's not it. Not it's not going to be here. But hey, this company buys SUI, so there you go. They engage in providing short-term specialty finance solutions, and that is it. Founded in 2006. Odd. I wouldn't invest in it, but hey, they're buying SUI. They have 300 million in SUI. Good. That's our little alternative for an ETF for the time being, right? We don't have a SUI ETF yet, so we're going to need an actual institution to just keep on buying, or a company, right? This was also covered by me before, but it's becoming a reality. Bloomberg reports that Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy has met all the criteria and more to be added into the S&P 500, and I heard rumors that it might be coming out tomorrow. I think that would be great, having MicroStrategy and the S&P 500. Good stuff. And I've mentioned it before, we have a lot of companies in the S&P 500 that do hold Bitcoin, right? Things like Coinbase, Robinhood, etc. Crypto.com has the numbers to pursue an IPO, so this means a release on the stock market. But CEO Chris says the company prefers to stay private, so we're probably not going to see Crypto.com release on the stock market, probably for the better. I think they're fine with their own little token. And if you release into the stock market, you're going to have to like report earnings and stuff like that. And then you're going to have competitors like Robinhood and Coinbase, like I said. You're also got more companies out. Like I think Gemini was going to come out. Bullish is already out. Other crypto exchanges. What else is there? I don't remember what other crypto exchanges, if there are any more out there. But yeah. Cool, good stuff for Kronos. Kronos has been doing great. And they also burned 550 million tokens recently, so really good. Trump is memeing on Cracker Barrel after they bent the knee to him. Remember when I shared that post with, first of all, Cracker Barrel, I'm sure you heard, they changed their logo to this, and now Trump told them, hey, change your logo back, and don't go woke, because you'll go broke. And they paid attention to Trump, and so now, like, you know, he's posting these memes on his Truth Social. Pretty funny. El Salvador buys $50 million worth of gold. Why aren't they buying Bitcoin? And that is all. All right, great. Yeah. Not too much crazy news, but still enough news to get us through the night overall. My final remarks on everything is that we are just waiting for tomorrow's non-farm payroll data to come out. It'll be important. And then next week, I mentioned CPI, PPI data would also help contribute. The percentage is 99%, guys. It's practically a guaranteed rate cut, and I don't feel like the markets are really pricing this in. But I just feel like we need that confirmation from tomorrow with the non-farm payroll data, right? Before we can start pumping again. Break out of 112, liquidate a lot of shorts, which I will show what shorts need to be liquidated and from where. I'll go to 1 month chart. And I rarely check that. If this will load. Anytime now. Alright, here we go. Look at this. So, red, orange, whatever color you think this is, yellow, is good. Because that's where shorts get liquidated. And from where does it happen? 112,500, 600 from there. It's all like super red, and these are 600 million. Every little unit that I'm going up, 600, 500 million dollars. These are billions of dollars that will be liquidated all the way up to maybe over here, which is 117,000. That is where I have my first resistance, as I mentioned. You see there's like a purple space over here. There's not a lot of liquidations going to be happening, so I feel like, you know, things will cool off a little bit over there. People will be taking their profits and the sell pressure will come back in. More shorts will be accumulated. They'll double down on the shorts thinking that, okay, maybe that was the top and then we'll continue down again. But boy, will they be wrong. And from here, we'll just easily break out into our all-time high territory. Of course, that is a resistance, of course, the purple, like dark purple black-ish area, right? There's not a lot of shorts to be liquidated up here. So we're going to be in need of another catalyst. And by then, I'm expecting us to already have our rates cut and the projections. Oh, projections. That's going to be another thing. September meeting will show projections for the rest of this year. How much we're expecting. The question is going to be, are we getting 3 rate cuts or are we getting 2 rate cuts? I think like on top of this 99% thing that we're seeing, it's going to be like, okay, will we be getting 2 rate cuts or 3 rate cuts for this year, right? Because we have 3 more meetings, September, October, December. September, it's guaranteed. That's 1 rate cut. October, we're leaning towards yes as well. And there's a chance for December. Depending on how the economy performs, what the feds think, they'll let us know in September's meeting. Like, yeah, we can see ourselves cutting rates 1 more time or maybe 2 more times by the end of this year. So that's why it's going to be an important meeting next month. Look at that. We're pumping 111K. Great. When this does indeed break out, we're going to be so rich. All right. What is... Oh, XRP is in the green. Finally. It's been in the green. Just not during my stream. Okay, cool. That'll be all for tonight then, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow. What is